Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to Indigo Park. Hope you're having a great day. My day's going pretty good. I've had to restart this recording a couple times. My computer's been being a little testy, but I think everything's okay now. All we've done so far is we got the critter cuff. We're about to go in there. I just wanted to start by saying today was going to be a bad episode. I'll say that. Today was going to be, I was going to have the camera off, the mic muted. I wasn't feeling it. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to listen to some music or watch a video in the background, and I'm just going to play the game. I'm just getting through it today. But I got a comment that really got my brain turning, and I really liked it. And I wanted to talk about it some more in this video. So basically, I'm pretty sure this comment comes from one of my videos where I was yapping about something, like just kind of not thinking it through fully, just like yapping or whatever. And I got a comment about it, and I found it really interesting. And I wanted to actually talk about it here on today's episode. So I'm going to go ahead and read your comment out. If for whatever reason you don't like it or you'd prefer I wouldn't do that, let me know and I won't do it again. I don't imagine you'd mind since it's the public comment section, but you know, if you do, I will go ahead and not do it again. Anyway, this person writes, you ready? So they write, I'm not sure if chapter 2 is really going to have a singular main villain. Like it's one individual chapter and not the whole game. Sure, the final game will probably have a villain, but chapter 2 doesn't need a one-off villain. I feel like everyone's just been kind of assuming it'll follow the Poppy Playtime formula of having a monster of the week that we defeat after the end of the chapter, but these characters could easily continue to exist after the chapter is over and be major characters throughout the game. Okay. Now that comment actually really got me excited because I'm like, hey, you know what? I find that interesting. I have something to talk about. I even let them know, like, dude, thanks, because I have something to talk about now. So that's what I want to get into today, is my thoughts and opinions on that and, like, what I actually think. Like, not just from me, you know, mindlessly yapping and trying to get something, but, you know, actually get into it and, you know, respond to it a little bit. Because I like things like this. I love engagement like this because it keeps the challenge from getting boring. Like I said, today was about to be a boring episode. I wasn't feeling it. I was even like rolling my eyes, coming to the computer like, I can't wait for chapter 2 to get out. You know, then I saw that. And I'm like, hey, that's some good engagement. I like that. So I want to get into that. In fact, I'm actually going to turn the audio way down because we don't need to be listening to Rambly do his normal spiel today because I want to be chatting today. Of course, the flashlight's still just as loud as ever. Let's see how loud Rambly is real quick with this audio setting. This is mostly for me. I'm pretty sure you guys can hear me just fine either way, but okay, that's fine. But yeah, so let's break it down. Let's break it down one sentence at a time. So chapter 2 is really going to have a singular main villain. So do I think chapter 2 is going to have a singular main villain? You know, I kind of do because of how much Scurv has been teased, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I don't. I feel like, I don't know, if you guys ever played like Legend of Zelda or something, like, you know, when you're in a dungeon and there's the final boss, but like halfway through the dungeon, there's like a mini boss. Like, I feel like that's what Scurv is. Like, I feel like Scurv is, even though he's being shown as the main focus, I almost feel like he's going to be like a mini boss. He's going to be like the middle of the chapter. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's not going to be the end all be all of that chapter. Now, as far as Finley being the main focus of that chapter, I really don't know. I mean, truly, I don't know. You know how I feel about that? I think Scurv is going to be a reasonably sized part, but not as big of a part as we all might be thinking. That's just what I kind of think. I mean, I'd happily be wrong because he seems cool, but it seems to me like he's going to be a mini boss, honestly. I feel like he's going to be not like a boss battle, but like a middle segment, you know? Like halfway through, he's going to be hunting you down. You're going to get away from him. He's going to come later and hunt you again. Or that, more like that. Maybe less of a mini boss and more of he's going to be hunting you throughout the chapter. You know, like Scurv is going to be the one hunting you down. And hopefully he's like singing or like doing like creepy undertone things because that's going to be really cool. But I'm getting a little off track with that. But yeah, as far as chapter 2 having a singular main villain, I got way off topic. Sorry, kind of off topic. But as far as chapter 2 having a singular main villain, I mean, Scurv is going to be the main focus, but I kind of agree with that a little bit. It's like it's up in the air, you know. But I mean, it's already been shown that we have 2 villains for chapter 2 at the very least, you know, being Scurv and Finley. I don't think Finley's just going to be teased. You know, we're in his area. We're going to have a run-in with Finley. Maybe Finley is going to actually be the mini-boss, you know? Maybe Finley's going to be the segment where you fall into his enclosure and you have to, like, get away from him or something, you know? But, yeah. Now, as far as it's one individual chapter, not the whole game, sure, the final game will probably have a villain, but chapter 2 doesn't need a one-off villain. Yes! Okay, I do agree with that. Get some water. The final game will probably have a villain, but chapter 2 doesn't need a one-off villain. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't, but I also think it will. I do gotta say, now I'm not entirely sure your exact opinion here, but, or exactly what you were saying with that part there, but I will say, I do think, you know what, I'm going to read the rest of that part, hold on, because I think that these two go together. Final game will probably have a villain, chapter 2 doesn't need a one-off villain. I feel like everyone's just been assuming it'll follow the Poppy Playtime formula, Monster of the Week, it's a feat, chapter, okay, yeah. So, I agree with this. So actually, personally, and I don't have a lot of opinions on a lot of this stuff. I don't have a lot of real opinions, but I actually hate the Monster of the Week formula. I do not like it. I don't like it at all. I like reoccurring characters. I like reoccurring bad guys. I like reoccurring villains. I don't like the Monster of the Week formula. So even if just from a complete standpoint of bias, I agree with it just from pure bias alone of what I would want, you know, and what I would hope for. Because I don't want that. I hate the Monster of the Week. I can't stand that. I like seeing the villain throughout, honestly, the whole game, to be honest. I don't mind, like, a couple people here and there coming and falling off, you know, per chapter, but, like, a lot of, like, main villains reoccurring, I like that. So, I actually don't believe that. I don't think it's going to follow the Poppy Playtime formula. It's one of the reasons I really like Indigo Park, is I feel like it's breaking a lot of the common thing that we've been seeing with a lot of indie, like mainstream, I guess, indie horror games lately. And I like that. It's something different, it's something refreshing, and I think it's going to be different and refreshing in literally almost everything it does. I do, however, to be honest, I would be surprised if Scurv makes it out of Chapter 2. I mean, I'd be cool if he does, but I would be surprised if Scurv makes it out of Chapter 2. I do kind of think that Scurv is going to be, like I said, maybe not the main villain of the chapter, may not be, I don't know. But in his case, I do think he's not going to make it out of Chapter 2. Because, I mean, his character design, everything, his theme, he fits with Oceanic Odyssey and Molly's story. I mean, Molly's story is about one of the only things where I could see him coming out of Chapter 2 for, you know? But I do think, now, he could come back. You know, maybe it looks like we defeat him, like he's gone, and then he comes back later. Maybe that would happen. I do think we're going to defeat Scurv this chapter because it kind of does make sense. And I don't think that would be the same as the, you know, villain of the week category. Because Scurv, like, yeah, he's teased and everything. But I feel like he's just... I feel like him being in Chapter 2 just makes sense, you know? Like, I don't like the fact that Molly's already gone. I will say that. I know I'm getting off topic. Like I said, I like to ramble, and my points bounce everywhere. I'm hard to follow, you know. And I obviously didn't think of anything through before I started. I literally just got on, I saw the comment, and I was like, yes! Let's talk about this, you know. But, so I'm going to be a little everywhere. Sorry about that. I'm just passionate, you know, and I'm just talking, whatever. I don't like that Molly's already gone. And I know, and that is also why I think, you know, people are believing that Indigo Park is going to follow the Monster of the Week formula. because of that, because we've seen Molly be the focus of chapter 1 and now she's gone. So naturally in our heads we're like, oh, well, Molly's the focus of chapter 1, Finley's the focus of chapter 2, he dies, and then Lloyd's the focus of chapter 3, he dies, then maybe Salem, then she dies, like I could see why people would think that because of that, I don't think that'll be the case, and I hope it's not the case that we don't get Monsters of the Week, but I do think Scurv is going to be, I don't think he'll make it past chapter 2, just because he's not part of the main cast. He's maybe not, I don't want to call him an afterthought, but he came later in development of chapter 2, at least that's when he was revealed to us, was later in the development of chapter 2. I do think with Scurv specifically, we are dealing with a chapter 2 villain. Maybe he's gone and comes back. Maybe. But I mean, honestly, if you I would love to hear, from anyone. It doesn't have to be, the specific commenter. It could be anybody. I'd love to hear, your reasons maybe why or, how we could see Scurv lasting past chapter 2. Obviously, I'm not saying... Now, I don't want to get it twisted. I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth. No one here has said that. No one here has said anything. The only thing that was said was the comment that I read out at the beginning. That's all that was said. Everything else is me just talking about what I think, But if you don't agree with that, if you think that Scurv, if we're talking about Scurv here, when we're talking about Scurv making it and being a reoccurring villain or being a major character, I just would like to know why you think that way, Maybe you're right. Hopefully you are right, because he seems kind of cool. But to me, Scurv does seem like the chapter 2, a chapter 2 exclusive, to be honest. I mean, he really does. I can see Finley making it out, and I could see, for example, here's Lloyd. I mean, we have a run-in with Lloyd in chapter 1, and Lloyd's going to be reoccurring, I'm sure. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's just I don't believe that we're going to fall into the Monster of the Week thing. At the end of the chapter, a big fight at the end of the chapter, we fight the monster, that's it. I don't think we're seeing that here. And also, what I really actually think was Scurv? Even if he's a chapter 2 exclusive, I don't even know if we're going to defeat him. You know what I mean? If anything, we might just get away from him and close off his segment. And maybe he comes back later. Maybe that's the way Scurv comes back later, right? Maybe he stays... So here's what I mean... Now my thoughts are coming together. Here's what I mean with Scurv being a Chapter 2 exclusive. I mean him being an Oceanic Odyssey exclusive. I don't see him leaving Oceanic Odyssey. Now, maybe we finish Chapter 2, and the whole time we're avoiding Scurv. Maybe we fight him once or twice or whatever. But maybe overall we just leave Oceanic Odyssey, and that's it. But maybe for whatever reason we have to go back to Oceanic Odyssey, and he's there waiting for us. You know what I mean? That I could see happening. So maybe Scurv not being Chapter 2 exclusive, but I really hardcore think he's Oceanic Odyssey exclusive. I do think that. I do think he's going to be Oceanic Odyssey exclusive. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong, but I do think he's Oceanic Odyssey exclusive as of right now. I know he has the whole story with Molly and her crew and everything, but also Molly's crew is specifically for Oceanic Odyssey as well. You know, Molly's crew isn't with her on rooftop races, right? Molly's crew is part of Molly Ahoy, the show. Now, granted, I haven't been in, besides the major post, I haven't been in the Indigo Park fandom or the theories or the the latest theory or the latest trend or whatever that's going on with the Indigo Park stuff. So I'm a little behind on that. So maybe there's some things that I'm missing. But this is just from someone who's taking everything at base value and with my own thought process and how I view things. And I think that's what we're dealing with when we talk about Scurv. It's an Oceanic Odyssey exclusive. Does he stay with Chapter 2? Maybe he gets defeated. Maybe he doesn't. I mean, we really don't know. I do think he's staying in Oceanic Odyssey, though. And if any villain in Chapter 2 is going to be defeated, I do think it's going to be Scurv. If anyone's going to be defeated. I'm kind of liking what I came up with later instead of what I was saying at the beginning of the video. of him being an Oceanic Odyssey exclusive, because maybe we just escape. Maybe we just escape from him and then we come back later. So I mean, I'm excited to find out and see. But I think like the main thing I really loved about the comment was the Monster of the Week formula, because I've never liked that formula, like ever have liked that formula. So I guess I just want to make it clear I don't subscribe to that formula. I've never liked it. I think for Poppy Playtime it kind of works, but I never like it. I'd love to see, like, even from Poppy Playtime specifically, there's certain villains I would have loved to see more of. I mean, personally, Catnap a little more would have been kind of cool. A little more Catnap action would have been nice. I mean, we see it with, Huggy Wuggy coming back. He's not necessarily gone forever, but it still followed that same formula of boss battle, boss battle, boss battle. And it doesn't have to be that way, It doesn't have to be that way. And I do agree with that, and I do like that. I think that's what I really liked, was the whole monster, because no Monster of the Week for me. It's not my thing either. As I am in the same boat, because I like reoccurring villains. Obviously, as we get closer to the end, they start falling off. That kind of makes sense, but I've never liked that, because it's like by the time you even learn enough about the villain, but before you even have a chance to like be conflicted about the villain, they're dead. They're gone. I get Indigo Park's a little different, because Indigo Park, we just all we see is Molly like that. We don't get a whole lot of, well, we get some lore drop, but not a whole lot of lore drop on Molly the monster. Molly the character, sure, but Molly the monster, there's like bits and pieces we know, But because that's what I like about it, is with a villain, I like being conflicted about a villain. I like being, I like almost siding with the villain. I like going like, man, like, you know what, like, I can see where this guy is coming from. Like, you almost get attached to the bad guy to the point where it comes time for you to fight him, or for something bad to happen to him or her. You feel a certain type of way where it's like, like, this has to be done, man, but like, I like you, like, I like that, Or on the flip side, if the villain's a complete piece of dog crap, I like the time to learn that they're a complete piece of dog crap. You know what I mean? I like my games in TV shows, especially in TV shows too, to have the villain be reoccurring and be long-term, multiple villains be long-term, because you start to learn more about them and you really get to get into their character and decide whether they are a piece of dog crap or if they're making some sense. You know what I mean? If there's something to be said about it there. So I do like that. I do like straying away from the Monster of the Week formula, and I'm happy to see somebody say that, because I don't think Indigo Park is going to follow that formula. And even if they are, I mean, I can hope they're not, at the very least, because there's not a lot of evidence to say whether they will or won't. To be honest, I think there's more hard evidence pointing that they will follow that formula, but I have hope because of how different of a game Indigo Park is. I mean, they'll try to stir the pot and maybe we won't have it. I mean, there's a lot of love put into these characters, clearly. I mean, Rambly here, I mean, I'll say it again, and I mean, I'll stand by it. I mean, if I'm wrong, I mean, I'll happily be proven wrong, but I do 100% believe that Rambly himself is about majority of the reason for this game's success is Rambly. You know what I mean? I mean, hey, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's right. I mean, that's at least from my perspective. That's what made the game for me, Chapter 1 at least, because Chapter 1 doesn't have a whole lot. But honestly, thank you for that comment, because that gave me something to talk about today. Because, man, I was not feeling this episode today. I just wasn't. And it's nice to see some engagement. I like that. I like that engagement. I like being able to open up this can of worms and talk. And I do apologize that I wasn't collected. I don't know. I wanted to talk from the heart, I guess. From the heart. All dramatic, you know. But I wanted to talk from. I just wanted to get into it right away. I didn't want to waste time rehearsing something, you know. Like, no, I want to, like, be raw, unedited, you know. Just go for it. And then when I yap like that, I start talking, and then my brain starts working, and I'm like, wait, hold on. I said this 2 minutes ago, but the more I think about it, no, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's, you know, I don't know. I just kind of like going through those brainstorming ideas out loud. But no, I loved that, man. I freaking loved that. Thank you. Hopefully you're cool with me comment dropping like that. I mean, like I said, if you're not, let me know. If you're cool, awesome. You know? If you're not, I won't do it again. If you are, cool. If you want me to say your name next time, I'll do that too. I'm fine with that. But yeah. Thank you for the engagement, because that is what I have been missing, dude. I love that. I love to see that. Speaking of chapter 2, let's take a little, before we end this chapter. Wait, what's this? Okay. Sorry. That's something I have to address. But after this is over. Indigo Park, chapter 2. Nothing yet. Okay. Released. Freaking AI is still saying it's December 2025. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you specifically for that comment, because this was a lot of fun to talk about. So much so that I might even talk about it more next episode. I don't know. That's not a promise. But just because, yeah, it was fun. But thank you. And thank you everyone else for being here. I will see y'all tomorrow.